I cleaned up.
I like it more for the moisturizer because it keeps the hair from drying out more so than anything else, but it was a good product. I gotta have the color, gotta have color. I'm not ready for it.
For 35 years, Jeorgi Golden knew the ins and outs of the salon.
Everything was going on in that one place that you felt comfortable, you felt safe, and you knew that when you were done, man, I looked like $1 million. And I didn't even have to go buy a new outfit.
She remembers when the biggest sellers were relaxers.
The salon would be filled, especially if you had a salon that had 10 to 15 people in there working, and everybody's doing that. Well, you put on gloves because you're dealing with live. That was it. There was no other protection. So we went in blindly thinking that the products that were sold to us that said, hey, this is going to make it beautiful, they didn't tell us it was going to definitely hurt us at the end.
When you heard about that study, what did you think?
My first thought was, that really couldn't be us. That was my first thought because I didn't know anyone who had. And then as I started reading more, and then as women going in the salon and we're talking and we're saying, well, you know, Susan got cancer. Wait a minute. How? What kind? You know, or you hear someone say, oh yeah, Michael got cancer. You know, he was a stylist. And I was like, really? And then you start thinking, well, you know, we had some friends to pass, but we never knew what they passed from. So we just chalked it up that, hey, they were sick. You know, even when we saw them in the midst of them being sick, people was not going to tell you their business.
What she read was a 2022 sister study, research led by the National Institutes of Health that showed a correlation between formaldehyde and uterine cancer after following women for almost 11 years.
You never thought that breathing that in constantly would affect you at the end of the day?
No, because no one ever said, hey, this is not good for you. Even though you know formaldehyde is used for embalming, you don't think about it.
Jeorgi herself has had health problems over the years that she's wondered about. After developing polyps, she had a hysterectomy.
When were you diagnosed? And it's lung cancer, correct?
Yes. This past April, I was diagnosed.
Lung cancer, which has been associated with some chemicals used in nail and hair salons.
I forego drinking. I forego smoking. I didn't do anything that some of my friends were saying, oh, you're missing the best part of life. And then I became sick and I wound up with cancer. And I was like, I didn't do anything. How did this happen? And then had to start going back through the times. Yeah, I did nails. Formaldehyde was right there.
Our national investigative team wanted to examine how hairstylists and employees in hair salons are impacted by the chemicals they're breathing in. We asked the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, for a copy of all complaints submitted to the agency about formaldehyde dangers affecting hair salon owners and workers over the past 5 years. We received 40 complaints from across the country and noticed a pattern coast to coast. Several owners and employees complained about the lack of ventilation within their salons. Some expressing concerns about not having safety data sheets about those chemicals. Concerns Jeorgi says even the inspectors that visited her salon didn't pick up on.
And never once did an inspector say, what we're breathing in is toxic.
Not once. You know, he walked in, if the door is open, well, you got ventilation. That's how they looked at it.
One OSHA hazard alert showed it investigated a series of Brazilian blowout products, finding some were listed as formaldehyde-free. But on-site testing showed they indeed found formaldehyde in the air.
These chemicals in these hair relaxers have proven to be dangerous. 80% of Black women are going to be diagnosed with fibroids. And I am a person who has survived uterine fibroids. I had a hysterectomy. It's the leading cause of hysterectomy.
Congresswoman Shontel Brown and some other lawmakers are not only calling on the FDA to ban chemical hair products like formaldehyde, but are also pushing for additional legislation to study uterine cancer and other illnesses related to chemical hair straighteners.
We want people to be able to beautify themselves without worrying about if this is going to give me any adverse health effects.
We need to look at the chemicals. You know, sometimes just studying things is really the beginning and the basis for ultimately changing the law.
On a state level, California, Washington, and Maryland have banned or restricted formaldehyde in cosmetics.
And when you think about the United States of America, this should not be a partisan issue. We have women in every state, right? We make up 51% of the population, so this shouldn't be a controversial thing, but we definitely, given the number of people who are impacted by it, should have more resources put into researching this.
Back at home, Jeorgi is retired and doing her best to stay healthy.
I tell any woman, if you hear that whisper, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you say, God, what was that? Go to the doctor, because we as women put everything off. We take care of everybody but ourselves. We as women of color, we want to have the image that they have said we should have. And as they say, beauty costs, and we are paying the cost for that beauty.